Well, good morning, West Ham fans. Rush from the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. It's match day, and it's live as West Ham take on Arsenal at the Emirates. Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. God bless it before the international break. You want to watch the game? Obviously, we'll be doing the watch along and stuff, but you want to watch the game yourself? We've got you covered at the West Ham Network with our new channel friends, IPVanish. One of the best VPNs out there. You scan that QR code, you get 83% off. So just download it. Say you're in like America or Australia and watch it then. Without having to, got you covered. Got you covered, my friends. Got you covered indeed. Going to be a fiery encounter at the Emirates. Holly's going to be talking to a Arsenal fan in a bit, talking about the game, previewing it, and getting his thoughts. But let's warm you up. Let's give you an amuse bouche with a few stats in Stat Attack. So the stats historically aren't great, but the last couple of times we've won, 3 goals scored, no goals conceded in the last 2 times we played at the Emirates. And Holly is joined by an Arsenal fan to go through it in a lot more detail. Don't forget to check us out later on with the watch along, starting 11 shows, all that malarkey. See you soon.
So, Chinadu, thank you so much for joining us on West Ham Network. Arsenal technically have the opportunity to go top of the league, may I add, but West Ham are going to be looking to shock everyone, I think, under the new head coach, Nuno Espirito Santo. Do you think that this is a bad time or a good time to face West Ham with the potential new manager bounce in full force?
No. Before we really get into it, may I say the intro is phenomenal. I've been waiting to say this, so thank you for having me on. And now to get into the nitty-gritty stuff. I am not a fan of playing against West Ham. Home, London Stadium, never have been. Being transparent with you, tend to answer your direct question. Do I feel like this is the right time to play against West Ham? We've got no choice. The fixtures are what they are. And right now, we've already had to face considerably 3 significantly big clubs, and to my despite, I say we've dealt with them in our own right. We've managed to accumulate certain points, bar the Liverpool game. So looking at a game like West Ham, where your run of form is more concerning than our own, is how I see it. The position that you're in, it's more like the new manager bounce, and what you need to do now is every single game moving forward for the remainder of the season is not only a cup final, not only a must-win, but you need to drag everyone forward. And what I've always said for the last few games for your team is that you've always got certain individuals that can pull you through, certain talented players that are efficient, if you will. But one thing's for certain is the new addition that your left back. I think that's going to be the cause of despair for us. Like, I'm happy with some of the results going forward in terms of we're still unbeaten in the last 5. However, looking at the actual game going into West Ham, the very last game we played against you in the league, you beat us. And the previous 2 to that, you didn't score a goal, and we got 10 goals within 2 games. So significantly, there is like that hold of like, okay, what can we do from here? So essentially, do I feel like it's going to be a tough game? Do I feel like West Ham will be very up for it, especially with Nuno in charge. Absolutely. Do I feel any concerns about it? Absolutely not. Am I surprised if there's any chance that we drop points? It's down to the players. It's down to the management. It's really up to them and how they move forward. Because as I said, in the last 5 games, we've been efficient. We've done the job that we've needed to do. And I think it's more so West Ham that needs to really, really show what they can do now, because it's a tougher test for them to go up against us, because we know that we're only a couple points behind Liverpool, and a win against you will again be that driving force for us. But a win for you, again, it's like, oh, there's a bit of life. It's a relief. We can breathe.
Yeah.
Like, Graham, I'm sorry that you had to, see this, but yay, we know how to get 3 points. And I can see that, because the last game I'd say is Nuno's first game in charge up against a team like Everton, who started strong, started well, and it's going to be a tough season for them as well. It's just getting a draw, especially at their ground, is a tale for itself. And again, we're going to Emirates this game as well, so I feel like that's what's really important. And the fundamental is we both need the 3 points, but we're both gonna fight against it. And who knows how the game's really gonna go? Because I'm truly excited with the possibility of both teams going head to head, especially with your team at the moment. I don't think there's much injuries to my knowledge.
No. And this is the thing. Every single point matters so much to us at the moment, and we want to build that momentum that we've not had for so long. So it's going to be a question of whether Nuno can really, he was talking about when people come to London Stadium, he wants to unleash hell, but this general mentality that he's bringing in of just making life difficult for our opposition, I'm hoping that we can see a little bit of that against Arsenal, because it's almost like Graham Potter was a bit too nice in ways, and we could see players hedge dropping, results weren't going our way. And we were talking about this before we went on air, but there's such negativity around where we'd hope to improve after our Conference League win, and we've just seen one thing after the next not go our way. We've had our hand forced in terms of having to get rid of Potter so few games into the season, when we'd hoped that this was almost the foundations of a long-term project. And now, obviously, a win matters massively to you. You guys are going to be going for the title this season, and we've almost been terrified of relegation over the first 3, 4, 5 games. And now it's time for us to step away from that as well. So there's everything to fight for, isn't there?
That's the truth. That is the truth. And I think, again, it's really about, because every point matters as it stands after the first 5, 6 games in the league format. You're really just focused on trying to gather as many points going forward. And regardless of whether it's the right timing or not, we're going to have to face each other twice this season. That's the format, that's the rule. So with it now, to me, it's not really Christmas time yet, but obviously we're still fairly early, pretty early in the season. Once you get through this kind of game, it's more like, okay, another 5, then another 5. By the time we're in the Christmas period and deeper into the winter period, then we can start seeing, okay, from the summer signings and the whole squad as a whole, really reassess things and taking things forward. Separately and transparently, I do feel like Nuno is going to do an interesting job at West Ham. How is really down to the players. It's really down to the management as well, and how you trust the players. I think I didn't necessarily keep an eye on your last game, but just assessing what potential format you went with, it's an interesting way of adapting, if you will, because so many people, I'd say there's so many coaches that could look at that West Ham team and, well, they're best with a back 4, best with a back 3, who's the better players in said systems, who works well. And as I said, because you're quite fortunate enough to really, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Souček's got a suspension at the moment, so he's not back until Midfield's time. Saka and Todibo should be back then. So apart from that, you've really just got a squad in your hand where the depth is available. Obviously, with the few signings that you made as well, it's more just to see them continuing. And as we mentioned before, setting a record on Diop. I'm liking the boy, I like me a high school player, and you guys signed the young French national Magassa. I hope I'm not saying his name wrong. He's a decent DM. I've been keeping an eye on him. I like my little tanners. I like my ballers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, love it. Because Diop just looks brilliant in terms of how many times he just tries to whip the ball in the box. And we'll talk about this in a bit, but that's one of the main ways that I think we're going to actually be able to capitalise in our upcoming games, because we're probably going to need to play on the break and we're going to need to play quickly. But the way that he's happy to get that ball forwards and get it in constantly and just keep trying that, something's going to come from it. And he's been brilliant. And Mayasa, like you said, we've seen a bit more of him now. And there are a few question marks when he first started there, but then second half, honestly, unbelievable. I think we've got a real baller, like you said. I think he's going to be great for us as well. So we have brought in some good reinforcements, and now it's going to come down to us proving a point. And I think there's a couple of things that can win a game on the pitch. One is talent, individual talent, and we've got a decent squad on paper. But the other is that mindset and that ability to never give up and to just grind a result out. And I'm hoping that that's what we're going to start to see under Nuno. I'm sure you're not hoping that you'll start to see that under Nuno.
I mean, to be fair, as I said, for the sake of your club and something I've always just thought about whilst I'm semi-assessing your team, it's just interesting that with West Ham in the position you're in, I think I'm trying to be as nice as I can when I say this. I'm not a massive fan with the approach of the type of personnel you have, but with the personnel you have, it's still decent. If that makes sense. So it's kind of like what I'll be more specific. The strike force, it's like without Bowen, it's good that you've got Wilson, but for what it's worth, for the kind of like for the it's kind of like the presence of your club, if you will. I think time for Fulcrook and time for Wilson is very short-lived because for obvious reasons, and you're going to then need to replace those two forwards and still needing to get the right kind of quality to support Bowen in his run of form. Paqueta again, now he's back in your team. It's been a positive to see, and going back to Diop, having Wan-Bissaka in the team and when he's fit as well, when his quality on the right side, Diop coming into the team and showing his quality, it's like you've kind of got a bit more of a dynamic version of Cresswell, because Cresswell was pretty much in his younger years bombing down the byline, doing his job, doing his thing. So I think that's kind of what's been positive about West Ham. You're not super reliant on just the one guy, Bar Bowen, with his form being what it is. Like he likes scoring goals. I don't blame him. Like since joining West Ham, he's really, correct me if I'm wrong, has he broken Antonio's record yet, or is he very, very close now? Because
I believe he
from
has.
the last time I recorded, I think he's broken the Premier League record for your club now, or he's close to.
I'm 99% sure that he has, but either way, the way that he plays is brilliant, because even when we've not been able to rely on having a striker, obviously Antonio did a great job for us, and we tried to replace him however many times over the years, and he always came back. He always did better than whoever we tried to bring in. But having that more versatile ability to attack with more players that can score goals. Which, by the way, I've been having a little look. Arsenal have quite a few goal scorers in recent games, don't they?
Come on now. We don't have to talk about it, but if you must, we do.
Talk to me about your goals.
No, you know what? That's why I like to compare, even when it's just the first fixture in the season. We're in good form. So far in the last like 7 or 8 games, so I'm looking at all competitions, we're doing well. I'm at the moment only so critical of just the things that we're doing anyway, which is just getting the goals. We need the goals. That's what we are looking at. For us to kind of go forward and getting the full 3 points or going through into next stages in competitions, we need to be scoring goals, because as nice as it may be to keep possession and rotating the ball from flank to flank, taking it from the centre half to the flanksman and back to, like, all of that nice little rally in the middle of the field, it's nice, but the box is there. That's just always what I'm hoping to see more efficiently, more often. In fairness, against Newcastle, we did that fairly well in the first half, and for quite a few spells in the second half, which obviously led to the reason for the scoreline. As much as it was 1-0 for such a long time in the game, those 2 goals came from our transition in the way we were playing anyway. That first half, we were still getting at them, attacking well, dealing with them as best as we could. But those last 10, 15 minutes, we were just sharp, getting in, sharp, getting in. For me, I'm like, do that from the off. And that's how I'm hoping we'll approach West Ham, regardless of who's going to be starting or not. Because luckily, as much as you have pretty much got a full squad, we don't. But the squad depth that we still have is efficient enough to still look at the likes of Calafiori or Miles Lewis-Skelly possibly getting numbers for each other. Ben White or Timber, whichever one. Obviously, it's league games. I think Timber is likelier to start. And obviously, with Gabriel possibly picking up something when Raya collided with him in the previous game, should be okay. I don't have much concerns with that, so I expect him and Saliba to start. Otherwise, it would obviously be Mosquera and Saliba. And I'm not too fast with who's the midfield three and then the front three, because again, the players have the capability of pulling off something special, each and every one of them. I'm just really, really hoping that Gyökeres gets a brace. I'm speaking into an existence because I want it to happen. Gyökeres with a couple goals, just so I could see the celebration and the joy in his face and everyone celebrating him. Like it's for me, that's just what I hope for and like. Because the last few games, I can't complain. Like we could have scored more, could have definitely destroyed teams in a sense, but we're playing smart, we're playing well, and we're still learning. Most of the players are still new, and the rest of the players are still adapted to the fact that they are such a significant part to our success and progress going forward.
I love that. So passionate about it as well. It's amazing to hear as well the confidence that you have in your own players. I think that's one of the things that has been lacking massively at West Ham, in that we've got some decent players that are talented, but a lot of them have been underperforming. And the hope is that Nuno is going to be able to bring that back out of them again. So we're going to have a little chat. We touched on it there, but form. So your 2-0 win in the Champions League against the Olympiacos, that was your third win in a row and your fifth win in 6 games in all tournaments. West Ham fans will be first to say our form has been pretty shocking, but we've now had a draw under Nuno's management, and we're hoping that that's going to draw a little bit of a line under things. Things aren't as shocking as they have been. I actually saw a stat that you've lost just 4 of your last 42 home games in the league. Us, on the other hand, we have lost 3 of our last 3. So I've got to ask, from a non-West Ham fan's perspective, what is the general opinion amongst Arsenal fans coming up to face West Ham?
So I'll be transparent. I've been doing the best I can to kind of be selective with what Arsenal fans I surround myself with, because sometimes as it can be, we're known to be quite reactionary. But just being direct with your question, I'm sure most of our fans will be confident going into the game. I'm sure, as it's highly predicted, we're really pursuing and chasing the competitions, looking at the wins in the games going forward. And obviously, when you think about it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is our 7th league game going into this. And that being said, going into the 7th game, still only about 11 or so until halfway. If, as it stands, you've only got 1 win in the 6 games you played. So being that you've lost bar the draw, you've lost 2 beforehand. So you haven't won a game. So that's how I'm looking at it. And I think the other Arsenal fans will be saying, new manager, they won it all. They're gonna want to get the 3 points as much as we need the 3 points. So I think most of the fans right now, we're just sitting back. We're really just hoping that Mikel continues doing what he's doing, which is being as smart as he can, not overcompensating in some degree. I know some fans feel a bit concerned when they initially see a starting 11 and they're not too fond with. And I'm one to say, why are you complaining? Like, we was adamant that the squad depth is fantastic, and I'll just touch on that as well. I haven't been excited or happy about a squad in years. Do you understand? I've not been this happy about a squad in years. So in what I said about you having Nuno, it applies, because he's a good coach. If you obtain the right players for him to manage, then things can go well. And right now, as it stands, with the squad being fit, he has a good amount of players that he can manage. And whether he can get the 3 points against us, it's down to both teams and how they fare, because it's not going to be an easy game. It's not. And I'm so confident that I am obviously confident in the win. How the Arsenal fans are looking at this, they're probably thinking the same, but some are going to be thinking, will West Ham be more hungry than us? I doubt it. I just personally doubt it, because we know what's at stake. We know every game it matters, and maybe the 3 points that you're so determined to get, and the continuous wins that you need as well. Maybe it'll be after this game. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, I think that confidence as well, it's understandable. You look at our form, you look at how we've been playing, and anyone's basically licking their lips coming up against West Ham, because you know that you can get a result. And I'm going to touch on some of the challenges that we've got at West Ham that are making it so easy for us to concede goals at the moment. But yeah, it's completely understandable that I think teams would be looking at us as an easy target. And the hope is that Nuno can light enough of a fire under these players to make them go and prove a point. He's spoken about the players needing to show fans why they should be cheering and supporting West Ham. And I'm hoping that it's just enough of a mentality shift for us to really start fighting for our place and go head to head and go to battle with the teams that we're fighting against, and actually go and make something happen, even against the odds. And just taking a little look here at head to head, our last 4 games in the Premier League against each other, 2 wins to Arsenal, 2 wins to West Ham. I actually think you should be worried, because we clearly perform better at your ground. In fact, our last 4 games against each other, you scored 11 goals based on this on Transfer Market. West Ham have scored 5. We have conceded all 11 of those goals at home, and we've kept clean sheets away. The last time we played each other as well, just for a recap for anyone that doesn't remember, Arsenal were coming off the back of 3 winless games, and West Ham were really needing to pick up points and sort of make sure we were trying to be as mid-table as possible at that moment in time. We managed to get a goal at the end of the first half, and Lewis Skelly was sent off as well towards the end of the game, which I imagine must have felt very disappointing to get that result against us. But all of the stats were in your favour. You had 20 shots versus our 5. We had only 32% of possession, and you had more than double the number of passes that we had. So we didn't deserve the win, but sometimes West Ham have the ability to turn up against some of the bigger sides, the top 6 that we don't really have any right to compete with based on the season form outside of these games. And we can get a result. So it was definitely the definition of taking one of very few chances when we faced you last, and somehow keeping a clean sheet. So I just want to touch on gameplay in terms of this. I'm not necessarily expecting the same again, given the fact that Arsenal have scored quite a few goals recently, and we are really struggling at West Ham to defend against corners and set pieces. In our box, it's as though we can't get on the end of any ball, whether it comes from a long ball, a throw-in, a corner, it doesn't really matter. We seem to not be marking up. We're doing zonal marking, but we kind of stay in the zone and let the attackers just do their thing. Is this an area that you think you might be able to capitalise on? We've obviously returned to Areola in goal, but we're definitely expecting to just get constant balls into the box against us, because clearly it's working for everyone.
You know what? As soon as you mentioned that, the first thing that came to my mind was that reminder of the difference in qualities. And I guess having a manager like Nuno and a different way of adapting from a tactical perspective, Nuno's approach is going to be very imperative to that. So how I see it is, both managers and most managers now, we're going to be seeing them trying to go head to head and from a tactical perspective, of course. But right now, as it stands, I think Mikel knows full well that he has a squad of players that have so many ways of showing their weaponry. Like our Arsenal, pun intended, is very varied in its own right. We have different formats of how strong we can get into the attacking areas. A lot of people tend to think that Arsenal are primarily a set piece team. What I like to think is that when we get into the box and have a set piece, even though there's a chance for us to score from it, it's not guaranteed every single time. And with West Ham having that as a concern, I think for us the only concern in that regard is that would be an expectation, if that makes sense. Because the one thing that I noticed with West Ham, to go back to my point now, is the squad qualities, right? And on paper, when you think about it, there's no defensive leader. Even though you've got Areola, generally you do not have a leader in your team who would be responsible to dealing with the matter, getting a ball out as soon as possible, holding the line. Like who's truly responsible in the organization of the defense? No one.
We're disorganized there.
The qualities of the players are still like, there is a like-mindedness. I think Tadibo and Koeman, if they're not aged mates, there's like a couple years or so difference between them. And then obviously going back to, if Wan-Bissaka's available, he'd be playing, and obviously Diouf. No disrespect to both of them, they're both capable as players, but the reality is, how much can Diouf handle those areas, and how much are we expecting do you have to be supported by a player where we could just manipulate? If you're going to do the tactical doubling up on whoever's our right flank, which is likely to be Saka, then you realize we still got 2 or 3 dynamic midfielders who are going to get the ball moving and get the ball into the box. I'm really hoping, as I said, that the open play format is what we will be prioritizing, because the likes of 𝗪𝗘𝗦𝗧 𝗛𝗑, if he starts or gets minutes in this game, Martinelli, who's been picking up his form through certain goals in certain games, every single one of these quality players are hungry and knowing that the goals matter, and they know it themselves, because as you've mentioned, with the last 4 games, it's basically been a 50 your way, 50 our way. But it's more to do with the fact that when you've beaten us in a way where it doesn't matter how you look at it statistically, performance based, you can tell that once West Ham get going and get their chance, it's almost hard to break them down if they keep that kind of structure, if that makes sense. Because not only did, when you really think about it as well, not only did we both fail to capitalize in those situations. So in those 4 games, we both kept a clean sheet in those games. So we knew how hard it was to kind of break ourselves, in the same breath of we managed to triumph you with the amount of goals we scored in the 2 previous games, whereas the games you won was just solely in the factor of we just couldn't break you down, we couldn't get past you. And I think that's what Nuno's going to be hoping for going into this game of the weekend, and that's what Mikel's also looking for. They were both managers going to have that thought of the qualities of the team is present. Like, I know Mikel's not going to look at you like some pushover. Like, your situation is going to mean nothing to him. Being 19th in the league and failing to get more than 1 win in the league means nothing. That's nothing. He's going to still look at the team as he respects Nuno. He knows what kind of manager he is. He's been in the country in the Premier League for several years. So on paper, when you look at the 2 managers, one of them's got way more experience than the other. But how they both go head to head, we know we want to win. You know you want to win. You never know. We might end up seeing a 0-0 game. Could be one of the first goals you've seen in a while. Because in the head-to-heads and how many games we've actually played, it's like, despite the amount of games that Arsenal's won, again, because of Nuno, he might be able to basically nullify our attack, or could be forced our hand where you might get early goal with Bowen and then we might have to get the equalizer and we're not able to break you down again. So really and truly, that's kind of the thought process for me is, can we try and like see through your attacking prowess and break down your defensive complacency? Because if you are evident in your complacency, we then need to take advantage. If we don't take advantage, you've still got the likes of Bowen, Paqueta, and a couple other players that are a threat. So it does look like a potential really heated game, and I'm actually I'm expected for the excitement towards it as well.
Yeah, it's one of those games that it really is gonna come down to who can turn up more on the day as well. Because West Ham fans, we're under no illusion that when we concede at the moment, and in the last 2 games when you've beaten us there, we concede heavily. We let our heads drop, and it's not 1 goal or 2 goals, 5 goals or 6 goals that come in. And that's one of the areas that we've really been struggling, where you just kind of watch everything fall apart on the pitch, and where Arsenal have quite a lot of attacking options and different ways of attacking, where we know that you can threaten us there. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, is because, like you said, you're good at set pieces, but it's not only set pieces that you're going to look to attack us on. And I think that's where there's naturally a concern amongst West Ham fans, that our hope is Nuno can put a stop to that and nullify a lot of those attacks, because a great result would be just not shipping a load of goals. I think we know that this is going to be a really challenging game. He's not had any time really to get to grips with the West Ham side. And yeah, we're just hoping that we'll start to see some passion injected back into that West Ham team, because I think that's how we can really go head to head and have a proper battle on that pitch. Nuno loves a bit of a quick counter as well. So if we can utilise Somerville, Bowen, Diouf, whoever we're using to get the ball up, and again, use lots of different options for us to get the ball in the box and hopefully tap it in, I reckon this is going to be our best approach. Of course, Bowen got on the score sheet last time we played each other. We know that he's always a threat, even in the games lately where he hasn't really done much. He still makes those opportunities and then can get a goal. So how do you reckon Arsenal would cope against quick counters, out of interest?
It's really interesting because as it stands, genuinely I'm confident when it comes to dealing with quick counters, but it depends on the counter, if that makes sense. It's like depends on the team, it depends on the counter, because for example, West Ham have a selective group of players, bar Suchek, considering that he'd be suspended, but he would be in conversation because he'd be one of the few members of the players who are charging forward when you're in the counter. And how it looks so far is you're relying on your attacking threat when the ball's on the flank. So if you're hitting the counter by the flank, either fullback, bombing down the channel, whipping the ball into the box. The only thing I envision is our midfield back two and the defensive backs and the fullbacks in the right positions. Because if there's loads of gaps that you're manipulating or exploiting, then it's going to be a big ask for David Raya, who, in my opinion, and I mean this with all due respect, I think he overplays. And not overplays in a way that, oh, he's our number one, he's overplaying. I mean, in terms of certain games I'm watching the keeper and he's playing like he's the centre back. Certain times I'm watching him, he's just got a lot of touches on the ball. In this situation, like I think it was last season, go up against Palace, we gone against them, and I think they grabbed a couple goals back or so. I think we ended up in drawing against them or something like that. I can't get the result in my mind, but essentially it was a Mateta chance. He's lobbed the keeper because he's come on, made it happen, and the Raya's off his line. In terms of just looking at West Ham's quality, again, Somerville's fit, he's able to play, which I expect him to. He's gonna give a challenge to our right fullback, whoever starts, which I assume is Timber. Same for the other flank. If Bowman's gonna start on the right hand side, it's very likely there's gonna have a test against whoever it's Calafiori or MLS. And whenever they're getting forward, it's not always that they're going to be the players putting the balls in. Usually your fullbacks. So those are already 4 players. Then you've got your 2 midfielders ahead of the DM, because how likely you're going to have Magasa probably starting holding into the centre field. So you're probably going to have Paqueta and one of the other centre midfielders 2 going forward. Point is, that's already 6 players I'm looking at getting forward, and that doesn't even include the outlet forward. So if you're going to get the chances to hit us on the counter on numerous occasions, that this is where my concerns lie. Will you be able to handle that? Maybe not, in the sense of it could be frustrating, it could be annoying, it could be you put the ball in, header to the post, or Davide is forced to make a corner or multiple blocks. Or it could be how I really expect it is get down the flank, fullback deals with it, gets to the midfielder, we hit you on the counter. Or we retain possession, keep tempo. Do you get what I mean? Like it's one of those where you can look at it as West Ham's got the capability. This is what they're likely to do, but will they do it? And that's just my only concern. If you are going to do what I think you won't do, because I hope you do it, but if you do it in sense of countering us on numerous occasions, creating chances, then headache galore. Don't really want to see it. I'm always confident in my players. As I said earlier, I'm really, really proud to say that it's been a while as an Arsenal fan to look at my squad and really see no issues. Like, even when you think, oh, the left wing situation, that situation can be handled. We've got 2 or 3 other players that can play there, you know? So for me, it's just handling your team. You will be hungry to try and get the points, at any point, of course, whether it's a draw in the end or all 3 points. The best way of you doing so, if it's your best format, to get an actual counter attack, then by all means. But if it's a case where you might be on possession a bit more, which I highly doubt, but if you are, for whatever reason, and again, like I said, I'm not even trying to ridicule your team.
I get it. I agree.
It's West Ham. This is my real summary for West Ham. You're hot and cold, more so cold, so you're lukewarm. And really, when you're lukewarm, it's still a problem, because it means at any point you could just pick up a win. Like, personally, because you could correct me if I'm wrong, in your last 5, you beat West Ham, you beat Nottingham Forest. And I'm not surprised you beat Nottingham Forest, because I've got them down to not do well this season. But it's the mannerism of how you've done it. Because even though the goals came late in the second half, I feel like, and I might be wrong in my summary because I didn't watch the entire game, but I kind of caught into it. You gave them problems.
We created
them
chances,
problems.
we made their life difficult, which we've
Yeah.
not been doing much as a club, but we have the ability to do that in our locker. It's mad because I think the major problem for us has been that midfield where we were really slow and we had no creativity. So we were predictable in the way that we were able to attack, because you could pretty much mark up Bowen, make sure you got on the end of any long balls, and we couldn't really do much. But with 𝗪𝗪𝗧, I think the pressure's definitely on for him to come in, break up play and help us to disperse the ball there, because we could be so much more dynamic as well with him doing that. And that's what I'm excited for, because where you were listing all those players at West Ham that obviously could pose a threat, I think 𝗪𝗪𝗧 definitely could play a massive part there in linking those players together and actually allowing us to get forwards quickly and catch you off guard. So I hope that it is a good old matchup. We actually we spoke about Martinelli being in great form, a lot of goals recently for you. What do you think West Ham needs to watch out for from Arsenal when that game kicks off?
Do you know what? I think I covered that fairly well, but I like it as a separate question. To be honest, West Ham know full well that the main thing they need to look out for is the opposition in possession. If the opposition, specifically ourselves, are in more possession, are more comfortable on the ball, then we're more threatening, naturally. Because even though, as I said, the chances of you having counter-attacks and such, now would I be concerned about it? It's not something you want to be reliant on, because, like I said, I'm confident in the team. Arsenal as a whole, we play well defensively. We kind of adapt well in the counter-attacking situations. I think in numerous times I've seen Gabriel and Saliba looking at these gaps, like bar the City game when Haaland had this counter-attacking goal, which I think to me was the dumbest thing I could have ever seen from our club, because Gabriel had no right in tight marking all the way in the 60th part of, like, you're in the other field and we still got two other defenders. You could have allowed the midfield to put the pressure on him, and if he does do the touch and make it forward, he's going to have to come and run into three defenders, rather than he's running solely into two defenders, but one of the defenders is not certain to press the other player and the other player doesn't press. So it's like that discombobulation in the base, it's just fundamental, just aggravates me. So if West Ham had the opportunity to do it again, and 𝗪𝗪𝗧 winning the ball, breaking play, getting the ball into the flank, and creating chances, then that makes sense. But I don't feel like there's much else that West Ham needs to worry about, apart from just don't let us score more than 3 again, like we did already. Because I say that with respect. Like, I'm not surprised that we managed to score that amount of times, because at the time you just didn't look like the team that you're known to be for, like the threatening team, hard to beat. It just looked like, we are the better side, so we're going to walk all over you, really. And that's what could happen. Like, going into the game, thinking about it, we got chances left, right, and centre in our locker. Whether it's Martinelli on the pitch, however he gets his minutes, we've got two great creative players in 𝗪𝗪𝗧 and 𝗪𝗧, who, on paper, they're just players you don't want to go up against. We know what 𝗪𝗪𝗧's like, and we've known what 𝗪𝗧 is like in the last few years. He's looking good. He's adapting well to what Mikel requires, and for his own sake. Because I think 𝗪𝗧 knows in himself, it's not about him being a support of the club, it's him being a professional to the club. Him wearing the badge, representing it week in, week out, and he knows full well that every performance counts for his own sake, because training, preparation towards the game, going into the game, it's for him knowing that what can he do in those 90 minutes of football that we all are going to make available, and whether he's on the pitch for 30 minutes or the full 90, we have to see. I think just to base it down in simple bullet points, there is a likelihood that you would have to keep an eye on our set pieces, because we are genuinely a threat. That's going without saying. Open play, Viktor Gyökeres has done well. His presence on the field has been decent. I think, as I've said it numerous times, the players are hungry. He's one of those players. He's determined to continue his scoring runners. He doesn't want to go another week without scoring. So I'm sure this coming weekend he's going to want that for his own sanity. The same for Martinelli. I think for Martinelli's sake, it's a confidence builder for him. At one stage, I'm sure he would have noticed that a section of fans really adores him and loves him, and then a section of fans really just yeah, if there's a lengthy and lump sum that's ready to take him and we're ready to go. I think now we know that there is no possibility of us letting him go. He is here to stay, and his quality shown in the last couple of games by being present, getting on the score sheet. To be honest with you, as much as I've listed the possibilities of what you should be concerned about, my real concern is just looking at Leo Trossard. I don't know what side of him he's on, because he's Mr. Hollywood. I feel like when he's on the field playing on the flank, he's more determined to try and get the ball moving in a way where, if it's the easier option, he gets the ball, gets to driving towards a goal. There's not much happening. But a lot more that I've seen him do is distributing and switching the ball, getting to the other flank. And I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, because I don't see Trossard as one of those type of players. But where it's, again, it benefits us because we're not going to, for the West Ham's sake, you're not going to now expect all the time that, oh, okay, Arsenal's transition is to slow, build up tempo, side to side, player to player. It's more, ooh, snap. Okay, they've gotten down from the central midfield areas, hit the flanks, but now the flankman's hit to the other flank. So it's like, oh, that's a bit different. And sometimes we're able to make that transition, get us a set piece, and keep switching up and bringing the variables in our attack. So I guess that's really just the main things that West Ham have to look at. The variables in our attack, the quality of players going forward, and if we're in possession, don't leave us in possession for too long, because eventually one of the balls will go in, one of the chances will be converted. So it's really just down to your club and what you want to do going forward.
No pressure. I think as well, at the moment, what you've highlighted there as strengths and ways that you can score are basically at the other end of this a lot of our weaknesses in terms of being consistent. We've been switching off even for one moment, and every time it's been costing us, whether that's making a bad tackle, getting someone sent off, not marking up properly, not getting goal side of a player, the simple stuff that we've not been doing properly. And it really, really can cost you. And I think as well, where that's been happening, players get frustrated, heads drop, and that's when we're seeing those big score lines like we have previously against Arsenal and in recent games for us as well. So a big scoreline would be disastrous for us so early in Nuno's career at West Ham, because I think there's so much negativity at the moment around West Ham and everything that we're doing. And this is our chance to just build a bit of belief back here and to get the fans believing, the players believing, and everyone knowing that we can do something. And it's refreshing even to hear from an Arsenal perspective that you're not confident necessarily going up against West Ham. Yes, it's a good time to face us because we've not been doing well, but you're fully aware that anything can happen on the day. And that's what we're trying to build back at West Ham, believing that anything can happen. And that's what we want to happen against Arsenal. It's just a scrap to be able to try and get a result. And we're definitely expecting, you've got big names on your team, all of which are very talented. You've got a great squad and a lot of different ways to mix it up and to make our lives difficult. We've got a good squad, not necessarily much squad depth in terms of having players that we can bring off the bench that are going to make a difference. But we have a good starting 11 that can play well on the day. So it's definitely going to be a big old battle. But I have one big question for you before we wrap this up. What is your score prediction?
Oh, this is the one I was dreading, Holly. Why you got to ask me stuff
put you on the spot
that you know you need the answer to? Can I just get a minute, okay? I'm not confident with this one. But, okay, the Arsenal in me wants to say 2-0. But the heart that I have feels like it's 1-1, 2-1 our way. Simply because, again, just from preview, just from assessment, Bowen's fit. Bowen's able to play. Bowen's going to play. So to me, it's like Bowen's your key threat. Your other Bowen's your key threat. Paqueta's another threat. Your other quality players that are there could be another issue for us. But where I'm looking at the better quality that Arsenal has, it's like that's the only reason I'm like, I should be more confident. I should be more abrupt, and I should, feel it. But right now, I just want to wait till the game, see how it fares, look at the lineups. I'm just kind of waiting to listen to a bit more of what the coaches are saying. I know Nuno's spoken about us briefly a little bit, but I haven't listened to it. I'm just like, the caption and the thumbnail was about corners. I'm like, it's mind games. They're playing with me. But just to give a simple summary of the prediction, I'm just like, it could be 1-1, but I need it to be 2-0. I don't want us to concede against you. I don't care what it does for you at this point in time. I wish you all the best for the season. But at this very moment of time, we've got 19 other clubs to whoop. We've already lost to one, and the rest of them is done. So I just need us to continue with the streak that we require, which is we got a lot of wins to collect, and you're one of them. So 2-0 win, not too much to ask. I don't really care how it goes. If it's 3 with the 𝗪𝗧 brace, then I'm a happy gooner. I'm a happy gooner, you know. I'm not asking for too much, Holly. I'm not. But what are your predictions? Well, where do you see the game when you really think about it? Away game, haven't won in 3. It's looking like, can you scrape a goal? Because you just about did in the last game.
Yeah, this is the thing, because although we're creating some chances, we're not creating enough, and we're not being clinical enough when we get those few chances. So scoring is going to be difficult for us. Sometimes it feels like we do just turn up against the top 6 sides of traditional top 6, and we can get a goal. I think Bowen and the way that hopefully we'll be able to attack now down the flanks with a bit more pace, as well as being able to control the midfield a bit better, because that was such a challenge for us. I'm hoping that we can at least give you a good game. I can't see us scoring many goals, and I know it's going to be difficult. We're coming off a poor run of form. We are going away to a team that has been performing and scoring. So I can't bring myself to say that we're going to lose. I never can. But I'm going to say that it's going to be 1-1. I'll be so happy if we can get 3 points. But I think realistically at this moment in time, it's damage limitation. It's turning up, putting a good performance in, and trying to get to grips with how Nuno wants us to play, but just making sure we're not shipping loads of goals. If we can create opportunities to get these goals and actually be clinical, because I'm not expecting us to get a huge amount of goals. We're not good enough in the air at the moment, and that comes defensively and in terms of attack, that regardless of how many balls Diouf's getting in the box, I think Arsenal are going to be a force to be reckoned with. So for that reason, I'm going to say 1-1, because I can't see us scoring many more goals, but I also think you're going to make it really difficult for us. So we'll have done well if we don't concede any more than 1 goal, I think. So yeah, I'm going to go for a tame 1-1, but I think it's going to be stressful on both sides, because I imagine Arsenal are going to be wanting to get points from us based on our form, and we're going to be desperately wanting points and wanting us to show up. But what's most important, I think, at the moment at West Ham is us feeling like the players are fighting for it. At West Ham, we don't always expect to win. We're not always expecting to get the best results. But when it feels like we've really tried and we've put a good performance in, it almost matters more to the West Ham fans than the result. And to actually get a decent performance in would be massive so early on with Nuno. And against a team like Arsenal. So 1-1 is my prediction, but I think it's going to be a good old battle, and it's going to come down to who can turn up on the day.
That's it.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good
one. I know. I'm actually truly secretly excited, but semi-nervous, because again, I don't know what you're right in everything you said. Literally, you don't know what West Ham turns up, but with the new manager managing the first game, getting a decent result against a tough side, you're going into another game, better opposition, tougher opponents, but you're more than capable of beating us. You've done it before. It's very possible. That's my concern. It's the fact that it's done before. The last time we played each other in the league, you beat us. So I'm not looking forward to the past. I'm looking to the future. I need your club, unfortunately, to have its demise, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. And that's just my feel. If it does happen and then we get a 0-0, 1-1, or 2-2 last minute, hopefully on our side, then fine. But if we're 2-1 down and having to draw, I'm not liking that feeling right now. See what I mean? It's not.
I get it.
It's not looking good. So yeah, I can respect it. I think it's good that you guys didn't waste no time, as I tried to mention with Graham Potter. I don't think he was the right man for you anyway. Letting Moyes go was a decision you felt you needed to make, and I'm saying Moyes as well, but was it Lopetegui before?
Yeah.
Yep. So Lopetegui, letting him go, I didn't think he was the right man in the first place, and bringing in Potter, it's like you just wasted So you basically wasted a year and a bit with 2 managers. So Nuno's got a lot of time that they need to invest in, because this is a really good manager. And if there's rumors circling around in whether there's a possibility he's going to do this, do that, I'm like, you know what? Focus on game by game. This is what we do. No one appreciates us for it, because this is why we get criticized, because in the end it doesn't work in our favor. When that's all we can ask for is doing our best. We're not here to win the league. We know we need to win the league. We're the ones that haven't won it in over 20 years. Who else hasn't? No, you. No, it's us. We haven't won the league since we were invincible. That's our problem. What about you? West Ham haven't won a league in ever. In all my existence, you haven't won a Premier League title. The last time you won the English division, only your fans should know that. I have no business knowing that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know what? This game is just like every other game when we go up against each other. London rivalry, tough battle. And because you're traveling to us, it's like, ooh, like it could happen again. It could happen again. That's just having flashbacks. It could happen again. And it's just like, you know what? We've got the quality. We've covered areas. Trossard, don't mess around. Gyökeres, get the ball in your feet and bang it. Okay, stop messing around. If you don't even get the control, just bang it. Odegaard, create. Eze, create. Gabriel, defend. Saliba, defend. This is my cry to the boys. Okay, I believe in every single one of them. Everyone. I'm even more excited. Let me just land with this, because no one really is talking about it. I think I'm grateful to be on a platform like this to speak on this matter. Hincapié is going to be another problem for our team. Once he returns to fitness, that left back slot is going to be a problem for Mikel to decide, because he's a great mixture of the two existing left backs. The difference with the two is Miles is very young and has no business playing there. Because of the mentality and the qualities that he obtains, this is why he's able to be facilitated there. Calafiori is just an injury-prone lucky boy. He's got the pace, he's got the qualities with his ball, his technical ability, but generally, he's not that good defensively. He's capable, but not that good. Hincapié's got it all. This is one thing that people have not been able to express enough, because they're forgetting this is a player who was in that undefeated streak. He was in the cup run. That this player has done it in the years with Leverkusen, 5 years in Germany, coming here to basically, to cover that area. He needs to cover the area, because looking at that position, it's not like it was a weakness. It's just, we know what can happen if Calafiori is injured or Miles might get suspended or something, which I'm not wishing upon. It's just, we've had controversial and unfortunate circumstances in our team where we've had to see players getting sent off for the most silliest of things, or getting booked for the most unnecessary things. I was really aggravated that Calafiori was lucky to not get sent off in the Newcastle game, because he should have. He got the City yellow card, and he should have got a yellow card after, when he made that City challenge. However, this is the past. It's in previous games, and in those games, we got the result. In this game, I'm hoping we can still get that result, but I'm sure Nuno knows full well what he can do in going up against a tough team like Arsenal.
100%. I think Nuno seems confident as well, and that confidence is bound to rub off on the players. They're all fighting for their place. We've had Ward-Prowse that Nuno has come in and dropped because he doesn't think that he's part of the plans moving forwards, and his brutal nature is no doubt going to just give everyone a bit of a kick up the arse to make everyone.
It's a shame though, Holly. I love James Ward, you know.
He's such a nice guy, isn't he?
Massive fan of James Ward-Prowse. Like, when it comes to English left field midfielders, so that you just don't think of these guys. This is my ranking: James Milner, James Ward-Prowse, and then the rest. That's it. But unfortunately, James Ward-Prowse, since joining West Ham, it's just not worked out. And again, you just look at the base of what Nuno has shown. It's like, you just need to get the right dynamic players, the right technical players, and the right players with the physical capabilities. You just need players under the age of 25, just all hungry and ready, and for the right funding, right, like kind of business transaction. You just know, right, we're gonna bring them in, because really and truly, I still think next summer Paqueta's leaving. I don't think he's staying. I think he's playing to leave.
He'll be gone as well. You know, I think everything that's happened with all the FA stuff, I reckon he's probably had enough. My hope is that he can have a good season, do well for West Ham, and then we can sell him for a decent amount of money, because he was so close to going to City when everything kicked off, and now he's been found innocent for it, but it's kind of ruined everything with that. So when there were rumours that he was going to go for next to nothing, that was a shocker, because he is a very talented player who can do incredible things. And he seems to be playing a bit more freely and creatively. And he's just got this, the way he plays football looks like a dance. And he's brought that back. Since the FA allegations have been dropped, he's just having such a good time on the pitch. Don't get me wrong, sometimes he's very frustrating because he loves to dive. And when things don't work out, he's there on the floor just letting everyone run past him. But at the same time, when he's on form, when it's his day, he is so good, so exciting. And I wouldn't be surprised that other teams will come looking at him. And I wouldn't be surprised that he'd want to leave and we'd want to potentially cash in. So I think I agree. And touching on James Ward-Prowse, I was excited when we signed him, because although it wasn't necessarily what we needed, someone with that ability from a set piece is so valuable. And we had patches where his corners made us a real threat, but it all just seems to have dried up, and he doesn't have the pace in midfield. And he'd started losing confidence and just passing back constantly. So it started to create a really difficult patch where he's not necessarily the best at breaking up play. He wasn't really playing the ball out to the wings and helping us get forwards. And his set pieces weren't really bringing us anything. So in his day, James Ward-Prowse is incredible, and he's so close to beating Beckham's record. I just don't think he's not going to get the chance to do it at West Ham now. And Southampton apparently want him back. So he deserves to go somewhere where his skills can be appreciated. But unfortunately, for what we need, needing some pace and some energy and some creativity in that area of the pitch, he just isn't what we need at this moment in time. But I think we knew Nuno wasn't a fan of him before, and now he's just come straight in and sort of gone, no, you're not part of my plans. But I'm hoping that cutthroat nature makes players want to really fight for their spot, because he has proven that regardless of whether you've started every game so far under another manager, if you're not good enough for what we need to do, then you're out the door essentially. So it's an interesting time at West Ham. I feel like this is going to be quite an important result, because if we get battered by Arsenal, I think we're in trouble. I think negativity continues spiraling, and I think it's a lot harder for Nuno to pick it up again from there. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But that has been your Arsenal versus West Ham preview. So ahead of kickoff at 3 p.m. And if you haven't already, make sure you give this video a like and a comment, and of course subscribe, because it goes a really long way to supporting the channel. Thank you so much for joining us, 𝗪𝗓. But first of all, I have to ask, any final words before we go?
Do you know what? Just the final words. Nothing to do with plugging social or anything. This is still solely the game, because you just mentioned something and I thought about it, because I realized I didn't fully assess the team when in the last game. I completely eradicated and forgot about Kyle Walker-Peters. So it's even harder to like he's been that to me has been a brilliant signing. As soon as West Ham signed him, I said, you're covered both sides of the flank, and his quality at that age, he's in his prime now. If he remains fit, you've got yourself a certified fullback. And looking at someone like Ward-Prowse, and I'm like, oh, like your midfield is in dire need. And I'm like, no, I forgot you snatched Matheus Fernandes from Southampton. When you said mention for Southampton, I was like, oh my gosh, you took a Southampton player, and he's really talented. Like, he's got that bit about him. And the thing with West Ham, as I've said time and time again, is with the right quality, you could be a problem. As it stands, you're a problem. So it's not like you can kind of change the squad. You can only hold back and see what Nuno goes with it, and then at the end of the day, if he's likely to keep the same personnel, then, or well, in my expectation, I think you're gonna have the same squad. Just I think Fulcrum might not start. I just don't think he'll start. It's nothing to do with heavy criticism. I just think since he signed, personally, he just wasn't the player that he needed. But it's tough. The striker market is tough. You're looking at a player who was efficient in front of goal, and he was one of the answers. So I think for the remainder of his time there, if he does start and he does do his thing, then yeah, maybe that's something we need to look out for. But in the meantime, I'm just really, really excited for the game, and really looking forward to seeing how West Ham can bounce back from the previous demises. Like, the club's got so much potential ahead of them. New manager, decent players. And whether there's like a handful of players that could leave or have no real rights of, like you don't have to force them to play essentially, then yeah, you would have another potential winter window and next season to kind of build around. But for now, let's get through these next few games before the winter period. There's still a lot of football to play. So I definitely do wish you for the best of luck for the rest of the season, and not so much this weekend. I need the 3 points, Holly. Sorry, just gonna have to get by you.
Understandable. You know what? It's been a pleasure having you on the channel. I wish you luck
Absolute honor.
well after our game. But I get it. Every point matters, doesn't it? Whether you're trying to stay away from relegation zone or you want to go for the title. But it's been so much fun chatting with you. So thank you for joining us.
Make sure you subscribe to the West Ham Network, guys. It's been a pleasure to speak with Holly. Been a pleasure, and it's definitely good to speak to a sane West Ham fan. I'm not gonna lie. There's only a few of you guys, and Holly's one of them. Okay, so please make sure you subscribe.
Legend. Thank you so much. You have been watching West Ham Network, and until next time, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, get involved in that conversation. Činedu, legend. Thank you so much. Till next time, come on, you Irons.